It's a beautiful day in location X. It's gonna be another hard day at the office. And today we're gonna be fishing for sea trout on the coast from the boat. And we're actually gonna show you how to catch these.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life.
There's a nice rocky bank on this small island here, and then we continue this bank onwards. Just gonna have one more cast to the shallowest spot there. And the water is dropping all the time, so now the morning can be good because it hasn't dropped too much yet, but it's gonna drop until midday quite a lot. So let's see how that affects the fishing today. That was a rock. So those who are not familiar with the Baltic Sea, we don't have tides here, but the water still fluctuates quite a lot with wind and air pressure. So for example, now since yesterday evening the water level has been dropping, and it's gonna drop until midday about 40 centimeters. And obviously when we're fishing for fish that are in the shallows, or we're aiming for the sea trout in the shallows, usually it's not good if the water is dropping really fast like it is now. The fish are moving a little bit from the bank, and obviously they're not going to be in the same places, at least, that they were, for example, last week when the water was really high. For example, in this spot, those rocks on that bank you couldn't even see, so the water was about 20 centimeters, at least 20 centimeters higher. We're going to fish 2 days for sea trout now, and I would think that the other day will be a little bit different than today. We're going to show you 2 different situations and conditions, how to approach them. And this is the morning of the first day. Just like river fishermen always monitor the water level on the river, how it affects the fishing, the bait fish and the insect life, and where the fish position. It's the same here. The water changes, the level changes, and the places where you find the fish changes with the wind first of all, and of course with the water level. So it's good to have it in mind and just monitor it and try to learn something from it. You should always have the wind in mind, where the wind is coming from, how hard is it, what's the water temperature, so that will affect where the fish are. Are they in the heaviest wind, or are they maybe in the more calmer places? So for example, in colder water, if there's a heavy wind, they're probably not going to be in the heaviest of wind, and vice versa. If the wind isn't super hard and the water is still relatively warm, like it is now, around 9 degrees, they can still be in these windy places. Now the wind is coming a little bit sideways here, so this is not, and this is a little bit sheltered with the other islands. So for me, this is perfect now. It's not in the heaviest wind, but it's still directly towards the wind, if you know what I mean. And I like that. If you think about this place, you know, I'm always looking for different structure, visible structure. Like here, there's a big rock, and I know there's a lot of there's kind of a shallow bank with rocks coming out from there. So obviously that's going to be a good high percentage area. Other one could be just behind that big rock on that beach over there, where you have more of an even shore, but especially that corner over there looks good to me. If you look at that rock over there, it's similar as you have a rock in a river. You can definitely see that there's some current. There's gonna be some lift from the water just in front of the rock, and behind the rock there's kind of a more sheltered place. So those are good places for bait fish, good places for sea trout to be in. So that's why I think that could be a good place. The nice thing about sea trout fishing is if you find fish, you have some followers, or you even catch a fish, you know that that's going to be a place where the sea trout are at some point of the season. So it's good to have your mental map, or even a map where you mark the spots where you have some action, because in those conditions it's probably going to work other times as well, the same place, you know, where the fish are. They're not there by accident. So this is a place close to deep water, close to the open sea, kind of a straighter bank with a lot of rocks all over. There's a couple of underwater peaks of rocks in the middle that could be good areas. With fly fishing, it's really important how you position the boat. First of all, so you're able to cast, and many times you have to get closer to the bank than you would with conventional gear. So that means many times you have to really navigate in the middle of the rocks. I have screens obviously here, but I also have a screen in the front, and I have the depth from the trolling engine. So basically I have the depth always under my feet, so I know how deep is it behind the boat, I know how deep is it at the front of the boat, so that helps. I was actually a little bit lucky last week in this place. Haven't fished this before, and I saw a fish jumping here. So I headed here and made a cast, and right away it took. And many times when you see those jumping fish, and actually you see them sometimes, those are active fish many times. And if you just get the cast accurately there, usually it means a bite, like it did last week. It's always nice to have some sightings of fish, gives you confidence, and like I said, those are active fish many times. The waves are hitting nicely to the pool. You can see that the water is moving, although it's sheltered. You can see kind of a sheltered pool, but the water is moving, like I said, so it looks really good. We're gonna have a couple of casts. Here I made a cast to the peak now, and then 2 or 3 casts there, and then we move. There's a shallow bank here. It gets deeper very, very slowly. So there's a long bank here, and quite shallow over there where I'm casting, and I think the fish could be there, and it's perfectly under the wind, like a nice ripple, not too much, but just perfect in my eyes. So smells like sea trout. This kind of a stripping basket is good because you can use it anywhere, whether you're fishing from the boat or the bank. I also use kind of a bucket style that's just standing on the boat by itself. That's nice as well. But if you have to get one and you fish both bank and from the boat, get this one. Depending how the wind hits the shore that I'm fishing, I position the boat with the trolling engine. Here it's basically straight to the bank, the wind. So I did several casts by anchoring the boat with the trolling engine and having the rear of the boat towards the target, and I'm casting here at the rear deck. But many times I can also run the bank with the trolling engine and cast as I go. Now I have a fish on. It's a good sized fish. Yep. Nice. Not a huge one, but still a good fish. Let's spot lock here. Yeah. Perfect. In Finland you can keep the stocked ones which are cut from the adipose fin if they're over 50 centimeters. So this we could keep, but I'm gonna release this soon. Really nice, really nice. The clouds came in just now, so we had a short period where we had sun, and actually we had the fish when we had the sun, so maybe it was good. The forecast said that it should be sunny the whole afternoon, but like we see, it's something else. It's cloudy at the moment, but feels really good. The weather feels really, really nice. The only thing is that the water is coming down, but at least we caught the first fish, and that fish didn't seem to mind the water dropping, so let's see if we can catch more. I hit the rock a little bit, so I'm going to sharpen the hook. Really, really important to keep your hook sharpened, and in this fishing when we're casting to the shallows, you're going to hit rocks, so make sure that you have sharp hooks. You can see in my thumbnail I'm always checking the flies so they're sharp. Here's the fly that I caught the fish, and it's my favorite pattern here in the coast of Finland for sea trout fishing. It's a deceiver pattern that I've been using for over 10 years. Just a good overall imitation of a bait fish. This kind of a pinkish hue on the color has worked really well for me. So now I'm using the set that you should basically get if you're only gonna get one set for both fishing for sea trout, and that's our Mary 9-foot 7-weight rod. Have the Kust XLV there, and the line is also Meri, and it's the 7-weight, and this is the fast intermediate. So for both fishing I would suggest that if you're only gonna get one line, get this fast intermediate. It's a good all-around line. You can use it in quite cold water, so it's not too fast sinking, but still it's a faster than a line that you would use from the bank. So from the bank I would use a slow-mo or even the slow-mo tip that we have on the Meri lines. But from the boat I like deeper sinking lines, so fast intermediate, a good all-rounder. If you want more info on the gear that I'm using today, you can find it from the video description. And actually you can find it for all of the episodes of Another Hard Day at the Office. So just check the video description and you'll get more detailed description what gear we're using. Halus kuvaa ja virkistävä. It's nice to take a break on land. Just beautiful scenery. And many times when you relax just a bit, you actually catch more fish. So it's not always good to be teeth together and pulling hard. It's good to take a moment, relax a bit, eat something, and actually you can have more results. A lot of rods. You definitely don't need this many rods when you go out, but as you see, I like to be prepared. And of course, my advantage is that I can get to, I can show you some of the things about the gear that we use. Meri rods, these are really designed for coastal fishing and especially sea trout fishing in mind. The action is really good for this type of fishing because it's easy loading. You can get the line really quickly out there, but it still has enough power to get a long line out there. This is a 9'7", so that's the one that you should get if you get only one. You can do anything, bank fishing, boat fishing. You can fish deeper sinking lines, you can fish slow-mos or even floaters with this. So really good all-around coastal rod, the 9'7". Today I kind of have a 1-2 punch here. So these are the two rods that I'm gonna probably use the most and I have been using. So I have the Coast Hero here, the 9'7", really good affordable coastal rod. And I rigged that with a Still Maniac slow-mo to intermediate to a Sink 3 tip. So it has 3 different densities and it's the deepest Meri line that we have, so the deepest sinking. And this has the fast intermediate. So I can change between a faster sinking one and a kind of a medium sinking one with the fast intermediate. So those are the two most important. I could do this today easily with these two rods only. But then I have a couple of other rods here with me. I have the new version of the Stifu Seatrout. This is the 9'6" weight. And I've rigged that with mulkis. So this is kind of my mulkis rod if I feel like I have a take, for example, and I want to try that fish with another fly, smaller fly. I'm going to use this one, and I've actually rigged that up with a Still Maniac fast intermediate. Then for bigger flies, I have a 9'8" weight Merisuola Predator. So a little bit softer action on the Predator compared to the graphene version of the Merisuola. Both still have graphene in them, but this is just a softer action and just perfect for casting bigger streamers and an 8 weight if the wind picks up. And the last rod is a Merisuola graphene 9'7", and I have that with a Still Maniac Sink 3. So this is actually the most deepest sinking line that I have here. So if I feel I need to get even deeper, I'm gonna use this. Today it's not super windy, so I don't feel that I need to get that deep, so I'm not probably gonna use this line that much today. But this goes even deeper than the deepest Meri line. As a summary, I could do this fishing today easily with these two rods, actually with only one, but it's nice to have two options, the deeper sinking version of the Meri line and then the faster intermediate on the Meri rod. So just two options, and these are more than enough to do this kind of fishing. When you go out fishing from the boat, mainly fly fishing, you don't need to necessarily have a big boat like this. You can do it with a smaller boat, much more simpler boat. Especially now when it gets colder, the trout are really close to the mainland many times. So you don't have to get out far into the sea on the rough water. And anyway, many times during colder periods, the fish don't necessarily like to be in the most rough water anyway. So you can get by with a smaller, more simple boat. Of course, it's nice to have this because I can get out with basically any weather. The trolling engine is really good to have because it just makes fishing especially fly fishing, so much easier. You can control the boat, keep it where you want with the trolling motor. We found a stickleback from the shore when we were having lunch, and this is something that the trout are eating. They're also eating gammarus from the weeds, and of course the main food here is the herring. That's probably the most important, that dictates a lot how the trout moves around this archipelago. Sticklebacks have been increasing a lot in the archipelago here. It's going to probably affect the fishes and the fishing somehow, so I guess we'll just have to see how it will affect it, but they have increased a lot. Okay, I pulled out a map of a part of the archipelago just to have a look on the spots that we fish for sea trout. So here's open sea here. This is kind of the middle section of the area that we fish for sea trout, and these are really the inner spots. And then of course there's even further in, but those are more for pike, sander, perch. For sea trout we fish a little bit more out, and a kind of a rough kind of generalization would be that during cold water, whether it's early spring or late autumn, we fish really close to the mainland, really in. Then we move a little bit out to the middle part of the archipelago, and when it gets really warm, late spring, even summertime, then it's more these outer places on the outer archipelago. We would fish the outer archipelago during August, September. The middle part of the archipelago we move September, October, now early November, and November, December we're gonna move more near to the mainland in the inner places. Most of the time I like to retrieve pretty fast, especially now when the water is still 9 degrees. Quite fast retrieve seems to work the best for me. When it starts to get colder, under 6 degrees, let's say, then I might start to slow down the retrieve a little bit. But even though if you're stripping fast, still remember to make some stops. Many times the sea trout like to take on the stop. If you're new to fly fishing and fly casting, especially on the coast where you need long casts, might be good to take an overweighted line to your rod. So just if you're using this kind of a Coast Hero 9'7" weight, just use a Meri as an 8 weight line, and that could help you if you haven't casted fly that much. These Meri lines are a little bit overweighted as they are, so if you're more experienced caster, I would say you don't need to overweight, because these definitely have enough weight for a good caster to get it out there easily. I've been using the same sunglasses the whole day, even from the misty morning to this sunshine. And the reason why I can use the one sunglass is this is the photo lens from us. It's photochromic, so the shade changes with the sun. The more there's sun, the more darker they are, and in the morning they were really light, so I can actually use them in low light conditions. So I would say if you choose one glass for almost anywhere, but for example here on the coast for coastal fishing, I would say photo. That's a good choice. Day 1 in the books. Can't complain when I catch fish. So one fish, nice one, fat one, really nice, and a couple of takes on top of that, so there was some action. That's sea trout fishing. You know, when you get several takes, usually you land something. Could have been easily like we have five fish on the line and we land one, so it's not too bad. Let's see how the conditions change for day 2 and how do we do then. We got up early today, around 5 o'clock in the morning. That's probably the toughest part about fishing, because the days are very short this time of the year. So you have to get up early and get on the water right away, so you get at least 8-9 hours of fishing. It's totally cloudy should be today, just a little bit rainy, not too much. The wind direction has changed a bit, so it was southeast on the first day, now it's southwest, and it should get a little bit stronger during the day, maybe 11, even 12 meters per second. And the water is rising today, so that's probably the biggest difference compared to the first day. Usko siihen, että keväällä se small one jumping. These ones get loose easily. Okay, nice. We were just discussing about bite times, when the bite should be on, and both of us think that this time between 10 and 12 or 10 and 1 o'clock during the day, especially now, should be the best time. And this proves it, I guess. The time is now 24 past 10. And we actually tried to time that we are at the best spots just after 10, like we are now. And from this on, let's see what happens if we catch more. Good. Well, the back fin looks quite good. It has the adipose fin. It's quite, doesn't have a lot of spots. And it definitely has the adipose fin. Could be a white one, probably is so. We'll let it go. A couple of words about flies. I keep things quite simple. I use most of the time these kind of deceiver type patterns, and you can see that there's difference even in these. So a little bit smaller one, a little bit shorter, and especially there's much less material on it, and then a little bit thicker ones as well. And I go to smaller flies with cold water, and on warmer water I use bigger flies. Quite a big variation of sizes that I use. Depending if there's herring, warm water, I go to bigger ones, and like I said, smaller ones in colder water. So this is a mulkis, and it's a great fly in cold water. If you could use 2 flies, this would be great as a dropper fly. In Finland we have this fisheries management fee that allows you to fish with 1 fly, so that's why I'm always using only 1 fly. But I do cast this if I have a take, for example, and I don't hook the fish. I many times cast the mulkis after that, and that can have some results. Here's our Prisma leaders. So fluorocarbon tapered leaders in 2 lengths, 9 feet and 13 feet. Here, when I'm using only 1 fly, I always just use 13 feet Prisma because it's just ready to go straight out of the box or from the packaging. If I use 2 flies, I'm abroad in Sweden, Gotland, where I can use 2 flies. I put the 9 feet leader and I add about meter and a half of tippet on top of that. So the tippet of this works as the dropper for the dropper fly, and I just add some tippet to that, so there's the point fly at the end of that. I want to tell you about our new awesome coastal line called Meri. A full lineup of coastal lines that will cover all the needs, whether you're fishing from the boat or from the bank. For me, as a boat fisherman, the most important ones are the fast intermediate that I have on here, and the one with the Sync 3 tip. It actually has a slow-mo running line, fast intermediate belly, and a 4-meter Sync 3 tip. Those are the 2 most important for me. There's also a slow-mo tip version and a slow-mo head, which are more bank specific. These feature also the tippet ring attachment for the leader. We did it at the Steel Maniac lines first, and now we have it here. It's just awesome, works really great. They have low stretch core, good for takes, good for casting, and also they feature a DuraSlim coating. which means they just cast and last longer. Se oli. Kala. Fish on the fly. I saw it. That was a fish. I saw it swirl on the fly. Ui, kävi. Oh yeah, it was a fish following, and now I think we spooked it because it really turned aggressively away from the boat. I just stopped it next to the boat and just had a look. Maybe I'm gonna change to the mulkis for a couple of casts. Let's see if there's more fish. I don't think we're gonna catch that one anymore, but probably there's more. The result was identical on both days, so one fish landed. There was 3 different actions in both days, so not a big difference. On the first day the water was dropping in the morning and rising in the afternoon. Today it was vice versa, so it was basically rising in the morning and now during the afternoon it was dropping. And today especially I would say that the morning or around 10 to 12 o'clock was the best time to fish, definitely, when the water was still rising or leveling up. Okay, the light is going and it's a nice evening. I think we're gonna stop now, so I hope you learned something. If you still have some questions, just drop a comment below. I'm gonna put all my gear that I've been using today and the day before in the description, so there's more info there. Have a look. And other than that, kala onnea.